I needed a bigger workspace, so I was able to talk to some people running the acreage, the land just east of Hot Shops, and they worked with me into getting into this building, the Midco, and they set it up for my mom and I, and it's just a really great space. It's a great situation that we landed into. So we're a little island in a big warehouse. Next to us is storage for the Children's Museum, so sometimes I'll wander around over there and look at the megalodon or the dinosaurs. And then on another side is Metro Community College. They have ceramics and upholstery and I think survival skill over there. We're also attached to a building that has Land Bank and the Omaha Fashion Institute, so it's a pretty diverse collection of people. But it's also really quiet since we're this little island. I do get to rock out with the stereo pretty loud.
That's cool.
So that's a bonus, yeah. I tend to latch onto something because I find it challenging. So I think I've been doing this since school, actually. I'll find something and it seems to resonate, so I just push it as far as I can. I landed on the birds quite a while ago, actually, with there's a group show on mythology, and I found a story, a Tlingit story about the raven that stole the sun. So that was my first bird woodcut, and it really was frustrating and made me angry because it wasn't doing what I wanted it to do or what I had pictured. So because of that, I was like, well, of course I have to do more because it was exhausting.
And that was because of like the detail and the feathers and things like that? Or?
The feathers and how the colors were stacking. It definitely is not my favorite, but it catapulted me towards the birds, and I just started doing more and more. And because of the feathers and the colors and the gradients in the feathers and all of that, it got really exciting. And I think one of the many reasons that it just keeps going is because there are so many different types of birds and breeds, and then there's all sorts of stories or mythological stories, I can't talk today, that go with certain birds, owls and crows. And everyone has a bird story, I think, like someone was crapped on, or they ran into a bird, or a bird flew into their window, or, everyone's got something. And so that's one way to connect with my audience. But yeah, a lot of it's about the texture. That's how it started off. And especially on a larger scale, it's fun to get that physicality of carving the feathers and creating that motion, the flying motion or the stagnant pose. The smaller wood blocks that I've been doing are more focused on birds of destruction, so it's asking people to question what they're seeing and also conflict, but in a neutral stance, just because birds, obviously don't chase after drones or wear a gun in a holster. It's just not something that should be seen, actually. But I want people to think about what it is to be violent or actively aggressive, and how that changes if you put a bird instead of a human into that story. So it's just asking people to really think about what's going on. So this is my pelican, and I ink it up on a glass slab with a brayer, and I have help, and they move the block with me onto the press bed. And I take damp paper, lay it delicately on top of the block, and I also have some press blankets that go on top of that just to make sure the pressure is even. And then I run it through the press. So it's just how it works, electric. And I'm not going to go all the way through just because I don't have it totally set up, but I just push a button and a toggle. And of course it goes all the way through. We end up over on this side, and I had a student build a suspension dry rack, which goes up to the ceiling. It can hold these 6 feet long sheets of paper. So we get the press bed over here, we peel up the paper, and we put it in this dry rack, and it just suspends in the corner there. Printmaking it's a huge family. That's what I was trying to explain in my class last week is it's all about community. Like I said that my mom helps me print, or I need an intern or someone to help me print. It's about community. Someone that paints, they just go to their studio, they're by themselves, they do their thing. Printmakers need help, they need troubleshooting help, tricks of the trade. There's always new things that need to be figured out. So it's a huge community of printmakers just in the region and nationally and internationally. There's printmaking conferences, associations. It's just so extensive just because of how much printmaking technology there is, but there's so many people that are into it. I just scratched the surface, really. If you think of all the history of it up until now, it's beyond me.
Well said. Thank you for sharing your studio space with us.